Okay, so generative AI. It feels like it's absolutely everywhere, right? From our inboxes to our social feeds. But what is this technology, really? In this explainer, we're going to break down how this powerful new creative machine actually works, the very real risks it presents, and most importantly, how we can build a future where we can actually trust it. To get a sense of just how fast this is all moving, just listen to this quote. This is from a researcher, someone who is actually building these models. When the people making the technology say it feels smarter than they are, you know we're in completely uncharted territory. It just points to this incredible new level of capability that's, well, let's be honest, it's both exciting and a little unnerving. So what can it actually do? Well, the list is basically growing every single day. We're talking about generating entire reports from scratch, creating images and art that look unbelievably real from just a simple sentence, composing original music, and even writing the software code for totally new apps. It's kind of like a universal creator, and it's really only limited by the data we train it on and the questions we ask it. And that, of course, brings us to the big question. How on earth is a machine creating something that feels genuinely new? You know, it's not just copying and pasting from the internet. To get that, we need to pop the hood and take a look inside the engine room. Okay, so at the heart of most of the generative AI that handles text, you're going to find something called a large language model, or an LLM. The easiest way to think about it is like a huge, super complex brain that has basically read a giant chunk of the internet. Now, it doesn't understand things the way you and I do, but it gets incredibly good at recognizing the patterns, the context, and all the little relationships between words. And that's what lets it generate new sentences that sound coherent and totally relevant. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because it shows a fundamental shift in what we're asking AI to do. For years, most AI was what we'd call discriminative. It was all about categorizing things. You know, is this a picture of a cat or a dog? Is this song rock or is it jazz? But generative models are a whole different ballgame. Their goal isn't just to label something, it's to create something. They learn the deep down structure of the data so they can produce something entirely new, like composing a whole new song in the style of jazz. And it gets even more advanced. The next big thing that's already here is called multimodal AI. This is where AI starts to process the world a lot more like we do, not just with text, but by understanding and connecting images and sounds and words all at the same time. I mean, imagine an AI that can watch a video, listen to the audio, and then write a perfect summary of exactly what happened. This ability to combine different senses is a massive leap forward. But, and this is a big but, with this incredible power to create comes a huge potential for things to go wrong. The very same technology that can write a beautiful poem can also just make things up. And this introduces a whole new world of risks and ethical challenges that we absolutely have to confront. One of the biggest risks has this fantastic name, an AI hallucination. This is what happens when the AI, in its attempt to be super helpful and give you an answer, just confidently makes something up. It spits out information that sounds totally plausible, but is either just plain wrong or completely fictional. Because remember, its goal is to complete a pattern, not to check for truth. And look, this is not some theoretical problem. It has serious real-world consequences. Get this. There was this case where a lawyer used ChatGPT to do research for a legal brief. The AI was super helpful, gave him a whole list of past court cases that seemed to perfectly support his argument. So, feeling pretty confident, he submitted the brief to the court. The problem? Well, the lawyers on the other side, they couldn't find any of these cases he cited. Why? Because the AI had made them up. All of them. The quotes, the legal precedents, the case names, it was all a complete hallucination. And this is the crucial point. These systems are not databases of facts. They are pattern-matching engines. That distinction is everything. And that story just perfectly shows that the problem goes way beyond simple mistakes. This chart here breaks down the major ethical minefield we're navigating. At the top, you've got the big picture issues like bias and misinformation. In the middle, you can see the root causes, things like biased data and copyright issues. And then at the bottom, you see some of the potential fixes, like better documentation and human oversight. It's a complex web, and it shows we need to tackle everything from societal bias to the very basic question of who's responsible when an AI messes up. So, faced with all these challenges, a global conversation has kicked off about how we can actually govern this technology. The goal is to create some kind of blueprint for responsibility that can guide everyone, making sure AI serves humanity without wrecking our values. And what's become crystal clear is that no single group can solve this alone. This framework shows how it's really a shared duty. You see at the top, you've got governments, developers, and even us, the people actually using it. In the middle, you have these core principles like fairness and transparency. And at the bottom, you have the actions needed like regulation. The point is, everyone has a part to play, from governments making rules, to developers building in safeguards, to us providing feedback. It has to be a team effort. And this isn't just talk. Major international organizations are already creating these playbooks. You've got UNESCO focusing on human rights, the IEEE is putting out practical design standards for the engineers, and the OECD is creating principles to help countries balance moving fast with building trust. As you can see, none of them are perfect, but they show a real, coordinated effort to try and get this right on a global scale. So all of this governance, all these frameworks, they're all building toward one crucial goal: creating AI that we can actually trust. And that means we have to embed principles for a responsible future right into the technology itself. Building that trust takes concrete action. We need transparency so we can understand how an AI got to an answer. We need to actively fight bias to make sure these systems are fair. We absolutely need strong privacy and security to protect our data. And finally, and maybe most importantly, we need clear human oversight and accountability. There always has to be a person in the loop who is responsible. These aren't just nice ideas, they're absolute necessities. Which leaves us with one final and I think really crucial question. At the end of the day, these AI models are learning from the gigantic collection of everything we've put online: our history, our art, our conversations, and yes, all of our biases. In a way, it's a mirror reflecting our digital world right back at us. So as we build these incredibly powerful tools, the real question we have to ask ourselves is, what do we want that mirror to show?